Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the content patch for the 27th of August 2013. My name is TotalBiscuit with today's gaming news and comment. Coming up in the show, Mirror's Edge will not be coming to current generation consoles. Activision offers an upgrade from the current gen to next gen versions of Call of Duty Ghosts. Chivalry Deadliest Warrior has been announced in association with Spike TV, and we'll be having a look at the upcoming games for this week. All this and the OC Remix track of the day is coming your way right about now. EA's Patrick Soderlund has confirmed that Mirror's Edge will not be coming to current generation machines and will of course be targeted towards PlayStation 4, PC and Xbox One. Speaking to Polygon, Patrick said that we've decided we need to make the right game and we need to make the right decision about what the right game was. It just happened to be a game design that I don't think you can build on an old generation machine. It doesn't work the way it's designed, and that also appeals to me. We could maybe get it to work on one, but we would have to compromise on too many things. With this, we didn't have to. It's a true next-gen idea with next-gen execution, and that felt right. As to what exactly he was referring to, he didn't mention it, so we don't really know what exactly will not run properly on old generation machines. It's weird to say old generation now, isn't it, considering we've been talking about current gen for the past 8 years, but I suppose it is getting to that point. It's weird to hear him say that and then not explain what's going on with it. And of course, we should also point out that this is kind of a large risk. Mirror's Edge was a reasonably successful title. It was certainly not a title that blew expectations out of the water and did incredibly well. In fact, the announcement of a sequel was unexpected, since the original game really didn't break records or anything along those lines. It's hard to know exactly how many copies the game sold because the information is frankly all over the place. I've seen anything between 207,000 copies and 1.89 million copies based on various sources online. It's extremely hard to figure out exactly what it is, but it definitely wasn't a gigantic success. We should also, of course, bear in mind that the game came out in 2008 and has had no less than 5 years to actually sell copies across various mediums and at various price points. Taking this to next gen means that you essentially block out the possibility of tapping into an already massive user base. There's a lot of companies that are not risking it right now, saying, look, unless you seriously support us here, and unless we are a heavily promoted exclusive for your platform that's getting a lot of money for doing it, we're going as multi-platform as we can, we're going to release on current gen, maybe we do a next gen version, maybe we don't, and we see how it goes, because for the last couple of years there's been a lot of negativity surrounding the console industry, claims that the sector is shrinking, claims that we're headed towards another crash, and frankly a lot of companies have shied away from the idea of going exclusively onto next-gen machines, because they may not sell any games, and that could be disastrous. It would be extremely upsetting to see a sequel to Mirror's Edge tank because it was only on next-gen, and the next-gen machines hadn't got a good enough installed user base yet. And I would argue that Mirror's Edge is not a strong enough property to be a system seller. You might say, well, it's cool because it will actually drive sales of the machine. It will help, but I really don't believe that Mirror's Edge is a killer app. Yeah, it's amazing, like it's a great game, but the appeal is limited. For a killer app, you need something that essentially captures the imagination of a massive swathe of people to the point where they will go out and actually buy the machine. And that is a difficult thing to do. Yeah, very difficult, especially with a game like that. I think it's going to be fantastic. I mean, if it's anything like the original, it will be great. It's a fantastic idea. It's unique, high fidelity, got a bunch of interesting ideas. But the question, I suppose, is, will this be good for the franchise, or will it in fact kill it? You should, of course, bear in mind that it's also coming out on PC. Now, Mirror's Edge has had success on PC, mostly because it's been part of various deals. You've been able to get Mirror's Edge extremely cheaply, multiple times throughout the years, and as a direct result, it actually has a fairly large user base, more so than you might have necessarily expected On Steam at the time of recording, there are 2,200 concurrent players of Mirror's Edge. Not bad for a 5-year-old single-player game, but bear in mind that it was part of the Humble Origin bundle, so a bunch of new people have picked it up as a direct result of that. One has to wonder if the inclusion in said bundle was deliberately designed in order to drum up brand awareness for this particular title, because yes, there is certainly a risk that investing a lot of money into this as a next-gen game might be a problem. It may very well be that Mirror's Edge 2 sells well on PC if it comes out at the same time. It did not in the case of the original, but we should also bear in mind that that was around the time when EA was kind of ignoring PC and not releasing stuff at the same time as the console version, so that's a little bit understandable. But historically speaking, it's fairly rare to see a PC version of the game be the one that actually carries it through when we're talking about AAAs. It can happen with indies, but fairly rare with AAAs. There are small exceptions, yeah. I'd probably say Skyrim is the best recent example of a multi-format game that has continued to be successful and drive sales on the PC platform. And that's mostly due to the wealth of modding that is available for that particular game. Not to mention the fact, of course, it looks way better on PC anyway. It's a risk. However, from the standpoint of someone that is, well, let's just say a power gamer, in the sense that I like to play the latest and greatest on the best hardware, this is exciting, because it means that there won't be any compromises. Yeah? They don't have to worry about optimizing for ancient hardware anymore, so they could fully realize their vision. So, as a game, this is probably really good, and you know what I was talking about yesterday, the whole idea of accessibility and broader appeal? This is the opposite of that. This is saying, you know what? Our creative vision cannot be realized under these constraints, ergo we will throw off these shackles, and we will take a risk. That is pretty gutsy, actually, and I'm fairly impressed that EA is supporting them in that respect. I wonder how much pressure they did put on for current-gen versions of that title, but we'll see how it turns out. I mean, I'm kind of excited now. Several companies, including Activision, have started offering upgrades from current-gen to next-gen versions of forthcoming titles. Players that own Call of Duty Ghosts on PlayStation 3 will be able to upgrade to the PS4 version for the cost of $10, €10, or £10. Yeah, that's... what? Thanks, guys. The UK really loves you for that one. And this will be a discounted upgrade for a limited time only. Activision is not alone in such offerings. Sony recently announced that you would be able to upgrade from PS3 to PS4 versions of certain titles for a significant discount, and we also saw similar deals surrounding Battlefield 4. Now, with Call of Duty Ghosts and BF4, both of these games are offering a transfer of your player stats and levels, meaning that you will be able to upgrade to the next version of the game at a later date, not having to adopt and buy the game on day one, and you will still be able to keep your levels and keep your progress in the multiplayer component. Ubisoft is also getting in on the action, with Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Watch Dogs being offered for similar deals. Well, this is a fairly obvious acceptance and acknowledgement, as far as I'm concerned, that adoption rates for these new machines may be lower as a direct result of a lack of backwards compatibility. That, in my opinion, is what they are directly addressing here. Because you cannot run your older versions on the new machine, they're saying, look, we still want you playing our game, and more importantly, we want you buying our DLC. That's the thing that we really need to mention there. If you are going to upgrade to the next version of Call of Duty or Battlefield, the chances are you actively play the multiplayer. That would be why you would do that. If you'd stop playing it, then why on earth would you get the next version? If you're focused on the single player, then hey, you know, you've already beaten it, so who cares? So the chances are you engaged in the multiplayer. What that means is you are a customer that these companies are looking to sell DLC to over the course of a year. And we already have 5 DLC packs, I believe, planned for Battlefield 4. I would expect a minimum of 4 map packs plus possible cosmetic stuff for Call of Duty Ghosts. So at that point, you can safely say, these guys are hooked in. You know what would be good? Well, we can upgrade them to the next version, keep them playing, and keep selling them DLC after the fact. And while it might not look so good when it comes to selling them the PlayStation 4 version for $10, essentially, we are now treating our games as a service platform as opposed to an individual title, so the fact is the DLC will earn us significantly more revenue, we feel, as opposed to the lost revenue from selling you a PS4 version for $10 or whatever. Admittedly, you can even look at it and say, hey, actually the loss, the quote loss unquote, is not really that high anyway, because you would be implying, if this platform and this service didn't exist, that all of these customers would upgrade for full price the PS4 version. It is unlikely to happen. They're probably not going to buy the same game twice, so you're talking about this theoretical lost revenue. You're not talking about real lost revenue. If the upgrade is digital, which is kind of likely, even if it's physical, it still doesn't cost them that much to do it. The program makes sense, it's relatively consumer-friendly as much as it possibly could be, and it's deliberately designed to help with the transition between generations. Like, I don't see anything wrong with it. I really don't. It seems like everybody wins with a system like that. Torn Banner Studios has announced Chivalry Deadliest Warrior in collaboration with Spike Games. Yes, indeed, Spike actually does have a game publishing house of some description, although I'll be damned if I know exactly what they did. Wouldn't surprise me if they were involved in publishing the other Deadliest Warrior games, which were fighting games on consoles, which weren't exactly that great. Regardless, Torn Banner has announced it in the form of a trailer, saying they will be working with Spike, the makers of Deadliest Warrior, to create a new version of Chivalry, which will involve various historical warriors battling each other in a somewhat asymmetrical fashion. The trailer demonstrates Samurai versus Spartans as an example, and they claim there will be significantly more units and factions available in the title. Now, this got a mixed reaction from the community, and some of it was kind of irritating, actually. Like, I can understand the notion that there were a few problems here and there with the idea that Chivalry might be moving away from the authenticity standpoint. Don't even call it realistic, it's not, and it never has been. Let's be frank there, but it did have that authentic feel to it. We'll ignore the fact the game's actually based in a fantasy world between two fictional factions, but regardless, it felt like what you would have expected there. And if you throw stuff like Samurai and Spartans into it, then maybe you'll lose that authenticity, and maybe you'll lose that immersive factor, even though I don't view that as all that important. Yeah, that's a reasonably valid concern. Admittedly, since it won't be included on the regular Chivalry servers, I really don't see the problem. If you don't want your immersion ruined, then don't buy the game. Just keep playing the original Chivalry. The biggest problem I think I had with the reaction to it is there were a bunch of people saying, how dare you do this, yeah? One of the most upvoted comments on the video was, the game is still bugged, then you release a pack for it? Where is the, we'll keep supporting Chivalry as long as we can? Better fix your game before thinking about this. I'm sorry, what? And by the time this thing comes out, Chivalry will have been out for over a year. Not only that, but it has received various free updates, and at no point have they ever tried to sell you other stuff. The game has received the duel mode, fisticuffs mode, as well as new weapons, new maps, new modes of play. Not to mention the fact that they recently announced yet another massive content update, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. Of course, all for free, as you might imagine. So, what exactly are you entitled to again? I'm really curious. This is certainly not the first time that we've seen this be the case. Chivalry stands on its own as a solid title. I've put a good 40 hours into Chivalry. I have not experienced game-breaking bugs or massive problems within the title that have significantly reduced my enjoyment of it. I think they've done their duty, yeah? Their duty of care extends as far as they have gone, and they've gone even further than that, and you still have people complaining the game is broken and that they're entitled to all this stuff. No, right? Let me just be completely frank. When someone releases a game that is not a free-to-play service platform, they release something that's standalone, you buy it as is, and their duty to you is to make sure that that game works, yeah? It's to make sure that it is as reasonably reliable as you can possibly get on a PC platform where random things can break for no reason. Get all of that stuff done, the post-release support, the stuff that you've promised, implement that, and that's it. That's what they owe you. It doesn't go any further than that. The notion that the Chivalry guys should continue to just sit around creating free updates for Chivalry when they've been offered a deal which allows them to, you know, pay their rent is ludicrous. And I have to wonder what the hell is wrong with people when they make these kind of accusations. As regards to the game itself, I mean, it's got a really interesting idea behind it. I think that could be a ton of fun. That also means implementation of more interesting weapons that aren't of the medieval era, a little bit more variety in that respect. The trailer doesn't look amazing, but at the end of the day, the game is very clearly not ready by any stretch, so I am looking forward to this. I think there's all sorts of amazing possibilities. The Battle of Thermopylae, except the guys charging you a samurai, or Vikings, or something along those lines. Wow, I mean, there's all sorts of great ideas that could go in with this. Of course, it would require you not to take it too seriously, but if you think that Chivalry is a realistic medieval simulator, then I can't help you. And finally, let's have a look at the games that are coming out this week that you can be spending all of your hard-earned money on if you so desire. First up, we've got Pixel Junk Monsters Ultimate, which is a tower defense game from the Pixel Junk series. Most Pixel Junk games came out on console, which is why they were a little bit unusual. However, lately, it seems like they've been moving over to PC. Pixel Junk Eden came out some time ago. Pixel Junk Monsters Ultimate is a tower defense game with a bunch of extra content. Interesting art style. I actually have the game. I've been playing it a little bit. It's got some intriguing ideas behind it. Not entirely sure if it's enough to really blow away the massive tower defense market that we already have on the PC. This is hardly an easy market to get into. There's a lot of really good, innovative tower defense available on PC, so I'm not entirely sure that this will be able to break through, but that is available. Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn comes out on the 27th of August. It's currently in its early access phase, and right now it's a disaster area. One is hoping that it'll get all of these issues solved, but hell, and the game comes out today. Will they have enough time to do that? That is questionable, to say the least. Everyone that's been involved in it, JP, Jesse Cox, they've all been complaining about a lot of problems. A lack of auto logout, the fact you just simply can't get into the servers, period. They remain full. There is no way to get online. There's all sorts of issues that game currently has. But again, it's an MMO launch. This is to be expected. You should know this by now. If you have a problem with that and it's not your job to deal with it, then don't. Wait a little while. You're not going to be that far behind. Don't have to worry. Wait a little while. See if things even out, and then you can drop the money on it. Lost Planet 3 coming out of nowhere, August the 27th. 360, PlayStation 3, and PC. No reviews of this out as of yet. We have no code for it. We've had no responses to our requests for code for it as of yet. Embargo is probably release day. Not being made by the same company. It's actually being made by Spark Unlimited that made the dreadful Legendary, which was a terrible game. So, I don't know. I really do not know exactly how this is going to go down. Lost Planet is obviously a series that has some following, but has not being considered a premier or premium series at all, so I have no idea where this is going to go. I have my doubts as to whether or not this will be any good. I will try it out once I get a hold of it. Killer app this week for consoles is probably Killer is Dead, in fact. That's coming out on 360 and PlayStation 3, new Suda 51 game. That means it's super weird in pretty much every possible respect. These are guys behind things like Lollipop Chainsaw, Cinemora, as well as stuff like Shadows of the Damned, which is not very good, then the couple of No More Heroes games, which were pretty damn awesome, and of course Killer 7 and all sorts of other things like that. Yeah, Suda 51 stuff is always really weird, really stylized, and has a lot of very strange mixed messages with it. I am really looking forward to trying it out, because every time Suda 51 makes a game, it's just bonkers in every respect, so we'll see how that one ends up turning out. It is a third-person action game, primarily. Spelunky makes its way to PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita. I can only imagine that's going to be a great Vita title, quite frankly. Probably the best format to play it on there. That will be out today. We also have new Madden coming out today. Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 for that. And if you're looking to get into Castlevania Lords of Shadow, the Ultimate Edition is hitting Steam today. It might be good, it might not be, it's hard to say. I've actually played the game, I know what it's like, but I played it on console, I haven't played it on PC yet, so a lot of people didn't like it. I personally enjoyed it, but that's because I had no real reference. I didn't play the older Castlevania games, and even if I did, I'd probably hate them, because they're just not the kind of things that I was into. It was a good spectacle fighter. It had some pretty terrible boss fights. The two Colossus fights are absolutely awful, so I don't know what the hell they were doing with that. But this one comes with the two DLC packs, Resurrection and Reverie, so it might very well be worthwhile, and it's not expensive either. A couple of other smaller titles coming out. We've got the HD Adventures Rotating Octopus character for PlayStation Vita. God, killer app right there. And Floating Cloud God Saves the Pilgrims HD, also on PlayStation Vita. A couple of interesting looking indies. And strangely enough, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, Out of the Shadows, is hitting on Wednesday on Xbox 360, PC, and PlayStation 3, which is a little bit intriguing. If you're a Mac gamer, you'll be able to pick up both SimCity and Bioshock Infinite on August the 29th, and the Premier Badger Simulator for PC in the form of Shelter is coming out on August the 28th as well, so that's kind of cool. Wii U gets Pokemon Rumble U on August the 29th, which is yet another spin-off of the Pokemon series. It is a digital-only release, though. You'll be only able to get it through the Wii U shop. This is actually an NFC game in the sense that you buy the characters and you actually put them on the gamepad, and that has an NFC sensor in it. So it's the Pokemon version, I suppose, of something like Skylanders. Hard to see exactly whether or not that'll be any good. And we also have Guardians of Middle-earth coming to PC, which is a very strange thing indeed. That, of course, being the Dota-style console game set in the Middle-earth universe. Already stacked up with a huge amount of DLC. The DLC packs for that game cost about $80. And the game itself will set you back close to $20. I think this game is going to have a pretty hard time, considering we already have a lot of great games on this platform that don't cost that much. So I don't see this doing too well against competition like Awesome Nauts, League of Legends, Dota, and Smite, but we will see how it turns out. For that cost, I'm definitely not that interested in it. I think I'll just keep playing Dota. That sounds like a better idea. Alright, folks, that wraps me up for the day. Thank you very much for watching the content patch. Before I go, I would love to give you the OC Remix track of the day if you would let me. Of course you will. Absolutely. Here it is. I'd like to give you something from the F-Zero soundtrack, if you don't mind. And as opposed to driving techno or rock interpretations, this is in fact a piano arrangement by Jigen John T. It is an interpretation of the song Big Blue from the original F-Zero on the Super Nintendo. And it is quite the thing indeed. You can download it in the description below this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.